26 years of CNBC TV 18.
After nearly a year of back and forth, trade talks between India and the US have hit a defining juncture. The targeted autumn timeline has already slipped. Both sides are aiming to seal a framework agreement before the year ends. A high-level team led by the new Deputy US Trade Representative Rick Switzer and the chief negotiator for the India deal, Brendan Lynch, will arrive in New Delhi. Their visit has revived optimism that the long-pending trade pact may finally be within reach. Indian exports currently face a massive 50% duty in the United States. This is among the highest levied on any country. Half of that is a penalty linked to India's purchases of Russian oil, while the other half is a mirrored counter-tariff. With India's trade surplus with the US narrowing under the weight of these hefty duties, New Delhi has shifted course, boosting energy imports from America and exploring new markets to reduce its dependence on any single trading partner. Meanwhile, the Commerce Ministry told the Parliament that it was working to minimize the impact of US tariffs on Indian exports. It said that it was involved in intensive engagement with Washington to secure a mutually beneficial bilateral trade agreement. In the latest move, US President Donald Trump has threatened additional tariffs on Indian agricultural exports, particularly rice, while rolling out a multi-billion-dollar aid package for American farmers. He accused imports from India and other Asian countries of hurting US producers.
Tell me about India. Why is India allowed to do that? They have to pay tariffs. Do they have an exemption on rice?
No, sir. We're still working on their trade deal. So
yeah, but they should be dumping. I mean, I heard that from others. So you can't do that.
They bought the largest brands at retail too, right? So they have an incentive to subsidize their products so that they can keep it on the shelf.
Yeah, who did that?
The Indians own the two largest brands.
All right, then we'll take care of it.
And joining us now to take this discussion further is Anjali Prasad, former Indian ambassador to the WTO, and Professor Harsh Pant, Vice President of Observer Research Foundation. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. Ambassador Prasad, I'd just like to begin by asking you about this latest threat from Donald Trump on imposing higher tariffs on Indian basmati, Indian rice, which is already facing about a 40% tariff from the United States right now. Any further increase, how do you think it's going to hurt our exports overall, and especially the rice exporters?
Thank you, Parikshit, and good evening. First of all, I think President Trump loves to play the game of tariffs, and he thinks tariffs are an answer to everything. Fine, that's for him. But for us, US accounts for only about 3% of Indian exports of rice, whereas for them, it accounts for more than 25% of US imports. So who is it going to damage more? It's going to damage the US consumer ultimately. And for us, US is the fourth largest market, 24th in non-basmati. So it is not our topmost market anyway, that we are going to be badly hurt. So I do not think that this will make much of a difference to the Indian rice exports.
Right. Harsh Pant, do you believe that this is a hard negotiating tactic as talks enter a final stretch?
Parikshit, it may be. I think in some ways this was an off-the-cuff remark that he made while meeting the American farmers, and India was specifically raised, as we could see by some of the I think representatives there. So I think in some ways he was also responding to what was being said at the meeting, and his as was mentioned, his favorite instrument is tariffs. So again, he seems to have relied on this idea that why are Indians dumping it, and why shouldn't we be raising tariffs on them, which may or may not lead to any resolution. But it seems it seemingly from his perspective would seem that he's doing his job. So I think certainly there is always that danger hanging. I think the idea of the trade deal and the negotiations that are happening on that would be, as was mentioned by his officials there, that those negotiations continue. So any attempt to browbeat India at this stage can also become counterproductive from the wider standpoint of the trade deal itself. So I think it would be, I think any new tariff certainly, in my opinion, would wait till the first contours of the trade deal are in place. But who knows with Mr. Trump, that he may tomorrow decide to go to the media and say that let's do this. But I think it would be unproductive from the point of view of what is being negotiated at the moment, and for which the negotiators are in town at this point.
Right. Ambassador Prasad, what's your view? Do you expect India and US to comfortably seal the phase 1 of the agreement by the end of this year?
Look, Parikshit, I am a little disappointed, if I may say so, although I don't know the exact details of the deal. But I am definitely disappointed that we are even at the table with them without asking them to go back to status quo ante. How can you negotiate a trade deal when there are penalties and extra tariffs sitting on you, which are completely ultra vires the WTO? Why are you in the first place even talking to them on this trade deal? Would be my personal opinion. I would turn around to the US and say, roll back these, wrong tariffs and penalties, etc., which don't even find a place in the WTO agreement. If at all you want to honor that, then we will talk. And that is the time to talk. This is not really the time to talk, frankly, and I am not at all looking forward to any trade deal. I would think it would be a huge give in and a huge coming down on your knees if at all you were to agree to a trade deal.
Right. Harsh Pant, our final question to you. What do you think will happen in the next few weeks? Is there enough pressure politically in the US as well on Donald Trump to show a victory? Do you feel that he would like to clinch a victory with India right now? Or the deal has not reached a stage where he says that there is a lot of ambition and it helps me politically, and he may let it just spill over into 2026?
I certainly don't think that he's under any particular pressure at this point, insofar as India is concerned. I think his base and with the kind of statements that he keeps on making about India, they seem to be going down well with his base. And I think that continues to give him political leverage insofar as his base is concerned. Now, it may be damaging from many other aspects, whether it is bilateral India-US relations or wider environment around, how Republican Party might see the Indian diaspora. But I think for him personally, it has not yet reached a point where he's particularly, he would be particularly keen on getting a deal within a certain time frame. And therefore, we know that he has been sitting on the deal for a while. Whatever reports are to be believed, we know that he has been the outline is there. He has not agreed to it so far. So I think the kind of temperament that he has, I don't think he's in any particular hurry. But clearly, I think there are institutional drivers on both sides what we are witnessing at the moment that may lead to some kind of a deal.
All right. Thank you very much, Harsh Pant and Ms. Prasad, for joining us on the program. Let's see what happens this week when U.S. trade negotiators sit down with Indian Commerce Ministry officials to thrash out the final contours of the agreement.